Thank you, bro. Yeah, just talofa lava. My name's Crit, as he said. My pronouns are he, him. I'm Samoan, but I'm currently living in unceded Ohlone territory and Chumash territory, and it's really good to be here. As far as PEAK goes, PEAK stands for the Pasifika Entertainment Advancement Committee. And basically, I saw there was a void for it because there's a lot of AAPI organizations, right? But there isn't often Pasifika staff or even board members on them. And so, you know, nobody's going to advocate for our communities more than ourselves, right? And so that's kind of why we brought it around. And so I do want to show love to two of my board members who are here today. I see a Longoe who's Tongan. He's sitting over here. Hey. He's a partner and the chief strategy officer over at Anomaly. And then we also have Ianeta Le'i, who you're going to see more of as we get into the... She's looking out the window like she doesn't know who I'm talking to. But yeah, that's a little bit about PEAK. But without further ado, I do want to bring up our panelists on stage. But before I do that, I'm going to bring up David Mapa, who's going to faula our guests as they come up. All right, wait, stay right there. Wait. All right. So the first person I want to bring up is, as I said, Ianeta Le'i, and she's the senior manager at Sundance Indigenous Program. Ianeta is, she's been a fierce advocate for Pasifika people for a long time, especially in the filmmaking community. And if you didn't know it, she was a professional softballer as well. So, you know, she got an arm on her. Whatever she says goes. And she's also a mother to a beautiful baby boy named Vaughn. So, thank you for coming. Also, just a little shout out to David too. David, I actually met for the first time at Sunrise Collective last year. He came along. He didn't come along to see the Pasifika people. He came along to see Daniel Day Kim. So I was like, damn. But ever since then, he's moved to LA. He's like he's the star of our dodgeball team. So yeah, it's good to have him here. The next person I'm going to bring up is Gerard Elmore, and he's the executive director of Ohina. All right, what's up, bro? Ohina does a lot of great work in Hawaii. Everything from writing labs to just showcasing short films and just really uplifting local filmmakers out there. So thank you for coming, bro. Thank you. And also one thing about Gerard, he was a b-boy and a wrestler back in high school. So,
wow, well done.
Wow, listen, a little research, a little stalking never hurts.
And a bit roll and lost.
Next up, I want to bring up Luciane Buchanan. Hey, Luciane is an actress. She's been in the game for a minute, but her most recent success was in Netflix's Night Agent, which was the most watched show on Netflix in 2023. And she has a short film that got into this year, which is called Tupu'anga, and we're really proud of her for her achievements with that. So give it up for Luciane.
Thank you. Hello? Oh, yes. Thank you.
And also want to give a shout out to Vera Mafileo, who's in. She's the director of Tupu'anga as well. Hey, what's up? Okay, next up, I want to bring up Anderson Lee. He is the artistic director of HIFF. He's a filmmaker in his own right, but I guess one thing that some of you probably do know about him, he's also known as the karaoke king out in these streets. So thank you, Anderson. And last but not least, we have Christopher Kahunahana. Hey. Now, Christopher, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was the first Kanaka filmmaker to complete a feature narrative. And it got picked up for distribution, so that's a big deal, and we're proud of him for that. And he's also known as the Hawaiian Kevin Bacon, as I recently found out. So there's that too. So yeah, welcome everyone. So I want to go down the line, and we're here in the spirit of Pasifika filmmaking and storytelling. So I want to go down the line, starting with Ianeta. And what's your favorite Pasifika film or TV show, and why?
That's a loaded question. Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys could be anywhere in Main Street or Sundance, but you're here with us, so thank you so much. My favorite film, I don't have one, because I've had...
Oh, here we go.
I've had my, a lot of filmmakers I've worked with, and I think every film that is created by a Pacific Island artist is an important film for me, because it brings, each one has its own method of representation, and it means something to someone. And I've taken things from every film, and that's my diplomatic answer, because someone's gonna see this and be like, well, what about my film? But Waikiki, amazing film.
Wow.
That was my answer.
All right. So as Sundance alum, they asked us what were top films of Sundance, and I had to include Boy. I think Boy was the film that I watched and we watched as a community, and we were like, oh, that's it. That's finally gonna break it open for everyone, because yes, Taika is funny, but that film has everything, right? It's authentic, and I hate using that word, but it's an experience that no one has seen, but also had comedy, and it felt like an experience that we finally connected with. That's my answer.
I also love those movies. Waikiki was amazing, and Boy, being biased from being from Aotearoa, it's one of the best. I have a few. I looked at your question last night and I was like, oh, there's so many. For a feature film, The Orator by Tusi Tamasese, I think that was just so authentically Samoan. It was the first funded film in New Zealand to be shot entirely in Samoa, spoken in Samoan, with a lot of non-actors, and I'm like, I want to pick his brain on how the hell he directed those non-actors and got those performances. I have to be a bit biased. My director, her film For My Father's Kingdom, it's a documentary.
That was my answer.
Sorry, we can have the same answer. That was the first, feature film that was a Tongan story, where I saw it at the New Zealand Film Festival, and I was just filled with joy that was my culture on screen, and we laughed and we cried together, and I'm so lucky to know you. And there's a short film called The Night Shift that premiered at Cannes, and Anna Pella is the lead actress, and that short film has been like the pinnacle of short films, and I've always wanted to emulate that, so I have a few.
Thank you, Anderson. You got to pick a new one now.
Answers. Yeah, like the documentary definitely. Vea's film was amazing because the story about her father and especially cultural heritage and whatnot, and I thought that really resonated with my family background because I had a similar situation, and I thought I was really connected with that, and I saw that in Berlin, and we showed it in Hawaii eventually that year. It was absolutely amazing for documentary, feature. So I love crazy movies and whatnot. I'm a film programmer, but I actually love Oscar Kitely. I love Oscar Kitely's work, and Sione's Wedding, man. Yeah. Sione's Wedding. It's very.
That's another panel, but sorry, keep going.
I mean, it's of another time. It's another time. It came out 15 years ago, but just remember seeing that in the theater with primarily Samoan audience, Hawaiian audience, and whatnot. It was a blast, and so I have to throw that out because so. But I think Sione's Wedding was great, but there's a lot of other films too.
My favorite film is this film I saw probably about 2016. It's called Tana. It's from Vanuatu, and it's definitely grounded in the community, but it tells a story that everyone remembers. It's kind of loosely based on Romeo and Juliet, but it actually happened 30 years before that, and it's based on a bride who was betrothed to a member from another tribe, a man from another tribe, so that they could create peace between the two tribes. And she chose to not honor her father's wishes. So she ran away, and then the son follows her, and he also, it was kind of a big deal in their community that actually happened. So, and it's beautifully shot. It's actually my favorite film from Oceania. But the film that made the biggest impact on me is Once Were Warriors. that thing was like formative for me. It was like, I think when white filmmakers watch Reservoir Dogs, for me it was like, holy shit. You know, it's like I saw my family, I saw my people, and it hurt, you know. So I think it inspired me to make that film particularly.
This year's the 30th anniversary of that film's release.
Yeah. Ooh, I remember
We're
when
the
it came
same
out.
age.
Yo,
I
I
was
remember
one when I saw that.
I remember when they came out, my whole street had it on videotape while it was still at the movie theaters. You know, how, like all the families and just New Zealand's a very small place, and so yeah. So I want to talk about our panel today, which is standing in solidarity with NHPI communities or Pasifika communities, and I guess I want to throw this to our Pasifika panelists, Ianeta, Luciane, Chris. First, what are some examples of solidarity that you've experienced that you felt really helped push, you really felt supported, right, in the work? And then what are some examples where it just felt quite performative?
I should go first because I'm gonna say her. So as an Indigenous Native Hawaiian filmmaker, Kanaka maoli filmmaker, there's like not really a place, like that we actually fit anywhere. So Sundance was so, had the forethought to include us as Indigenous filmmakers. And so for me as a filmmaker, that was like the biggest thing ever. It's like they recognized us as Indigenous and as a Kanaka maoli. And so that's formatively the biggest honor to be part of that community of not only filmmakers, but an Indigenous community.
I think, the thing that's at the top of my mind is this panel. It's Gold House. It's 3AD. It's our partners that have the foresight to include us and want to hear our voices. And I think majority of the partnerships that we have, a lot of the funding that we get, it does feel a little performative at times. But I think like as Indigenous people, we do also have that sixth sense of like knowing when people's intentions are pure, knowing when they do want to hear our voices, our stories, and not just make money off of those stories. When they include us in decision making instead of consultancy. But yeah, I think things like this I think are brilliant, and it feels really great to be able to connect with people from the community and bring out the community who we do everything for.
I guess for me, I'm here with my short film that I wrote years and years ago. It was the first thing I'd ever written. Shout out to my two producers who are cis, white, straight men. And no one else, sorry, I mean that with love. But yeah, no one else was knocking on my door being like, hey, you're an actor, do you want to write? But these guys we worked on a short film together called My Friend Michael Jones, Samoan film. And I was like, yeah, I actually have an idea. Like, it's 20 pages long, which if you've written a short film, that's way too long for a short film. And they have stuck through me for 6 years with this project. We did an application to the New Zealand Film Commission. And out of like 200 applications, we ranked the highest because of their hard work. Never once did they step on my toes and go, oh, we should change this because, culturally. And I think they're a great example of allyship, and I'm really grateful. They didn't look at me and go, oh, we want to make a Tongan film. Who's a Tongan filmmaker that we can put our hands on? They just believed in me as a storyteller, and my story so happened to be Tongan. So I know there's so many horror stories out there where we're like, oh, trust issues, like people want to make money off me, but I believe that there are people out there who want to see you win. And, Vera and I, we want to create. We don't want to do applications till 12 in the morning. And they're happy to do that and uplift us. So that's an example of great allyship. In terms of performance, how long have we got? Right. There's multiple things, but I want to focus on the positive and that it is possible. You just need to find the right partnership. It's kind of like dating, go through them. And
Oh, let's talk about it.
okay, yeah.
No, but I agree with you. Like it really is about letting you do your thing, right? And it's not about, hey, I want to put you on display, but I don't want to actually have you involved in what that's going to look like, or I want to dilute your message or anything like that, right?
Yeah, and yeah, totally. And you don't want to just fill, that's tick boxing in the opposite way of filling a role because, oh, I think they need to be of this ethnicity. It's like, who's going to do the job? And creative wise, like me and Vera are the two Tongans as writer and director, and me being the actor. So we filled that in other ways, and all the things that we didn't want to do, we're like, hey guys, take it please. So yeah, that's an example for me.
Yeah, I want to give a quick example too. Do many of y'all know Charlene Jimenez from formerly of Define America? No, anyone? There's some people like maybe. Anyway, she's awesome. I love Charlene, but I was on a panel for Stars last year, and it was an AAPI month celebration. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have sat on it because she literally said to the team at Stars, she was like, "Hey, we've got this AAPI panel in celebration of this month, and there's no Pasifika people. Like, we need to bring someone in." So her doing that, like, she's got my loyalty forever, you know. Well, maybe not for, you know, granted, but you know, she's got, you know, she had my back, right? And that to me is like, that's gold to me, you know. So yeah, that's the sort of thing for me. That it really comes down to relationships, right? And then I think going back to what Ianeta was talking about, like here, we really do want to build relationships with our Asian American counterparts, especially because, you know, that's the basis for any of the support that we give each other is how strong do we actually know each other, and are we getting into the issues and having these conversations, right? So to throw it to, oh, you go ahead, bro.
Well, to just you know, back up what you say, it's like Cape and Gold House. They've been totally supportive of us as Native Hawaiian filmmakers, as Polynesian community. You know, they invited, like, last year was the first year that there was this space, you know, and so for it to be the second year, and Daniel and Sunrise to invite us, I mean, that's allyship. You know, it's like giving us the opportunity to hold space while they held it, and they'd say, "Hey, we want to share the space with you." For me, that's like so important as an Indigenous filmmaker. Thank you, Gold House. Thank you, Daniel, and Cape especially.
All right. So to throw it to our non-Pasifika panelists, Gerard and Anderson, y'all do a lot of community work in Hawaii, especially. How do you censor Pasifika people in your work?
Well, I should start with I actually identify as Indigenous American, and so a lot of I fit in a very weird spot because the culture that I know best is the culture that I live with in Hawaii. And my Indigenous side, I'm still discovering, you know? And so when I see Indigenous filmmakers, Indigenous stories, I feel like it's my role to help in any way I can. And so what we do with Ohina is we're reckless. We do things you shouldn't do. And we believe in the talent, and we believe in the Pasifika stories. And what that means is, a great example is we had Ohina recently. And Paulafunga, who a lot of people know as a singer, songwriter, and she watches the movies. 2 days later, calls me up and she says, "How do I make a movie? How do I do that?" And so I go, "Well, let's figure it out. Let's figure out, how do we develop your voice, your script? How do we wrap a crew around your idea? And how the fuck are we gonna make this, you know?" Like, sorry for swearing, I don't know if that's okay. Yeah, okay. Because, you know, the goalposts are really hard. We're not even at the starting line when we talk about Indigenous voices, Indigenous stories, and when we talk about Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander stories and films. We have one short film at Sundance. So we have a huge chip on our shoulder to prove that we're good enough. Now, I will use this as a time to say that we do have one Hawaii film at Slam Dance.
Yeah.
That has Native Hawaiian AA and PI talent represented in the film. And so we do have that. But we have a lot of work to do. And I feel like it's my role, you know, as someone who feels wholeheartedly this is what we have to do for our community. So I will jump in. I put my money where my mouth's at. I bought a camera, loaned it out to Lika, to Aaron, to all the filmmakers you know from Hawaii. We're there asking, how can we help? You know, and Chris knows this because he's part of the Ohina team as well. And so our number one goal is Indigenous storytelling. How do we break through? Right now we have a Green Light Award winner, and he is embedded in the Micronesian community. And the Micronesian community is one that's looked down upon in Hawaii. So there's complexities even within Hawaii that we need to figure out. And there's nothing more powerful than filmmaking. And that's what we do. And then sorry, one last piece. I know I'm talking a long time. But the last piece of it is showcasing that work, building an audience, proving to the studios, to the execs, that there's an audience. And the way we do that is we rally a community around that filmmaker. And we've done showcases, and we've proven time and time again, there's an audience in Hawaii. I mean, Daniel's seen it, you know. We straight up sell the whole thing out, you know. They go to HIFF, they get recognized there. We try to get them Oscar qualified. We're gonna go hard. And we're gonna fucking come back here, and we're gonna represent. That's our goal.
I was born and raised in Hawaii. My parents were Vietnamese refugees who were on their way to Arkansas. And then my mom was pregnant with me and had the emergency land in Honolulu. And I was born there, so they decided to stay there because they saw Asian faces. They saw the climate was nice. And it was like, talking about Hawaii as this Asian American paradise, API paradise. Like, it's like, yeah, I grew up with that, kind of mentality, and that's a heaven or a mecca for the Asian American experience. But you learn about things, and and recognize that I am myself and Asian settler colonialist, and the narrative of the history of Hawaii and its complication of the displacement of the Hawaiian kingdom and the stolen lands and whatnot. And so we're all part of that as well. And so, just to be aware of that, and I think there's a movement for that, to recognize that. I mean, even simple as a land acknowledgement, just, we do that at HIFF, and it's just a simple thing, just a simple gesture. And that may be, some people look at it as being performative, but I think just more of an awareness thing, right? And so, just myself working in programming for HIFF for many years, I just see the market landscape of Native Hawaiian filmmakers like Chris, who are kicking ass. They, are making amazing short films, working on their feature films that go to Sundance, whatnot, and so there are not that much opportunities in Hawaii because the philanthropy is not there. It's still very much a very mono industry. You either work for the government or the military or tourism, right? So if it doesn't, you don't really talk about the authentic kind of stories of Hawaii. And so for HIFF, our initiative was basically we just show films, we do these labs, but we really want to go into really kind of champion. I personally just this group of local filmmakers, but also Kanaka maoli filmmakers who are doing really well, and they need that chance, that push. So we basically are going into our first production. We stole the playbook from Carrie Warkia and her films of Waru and Vai and whatnot. So we're doing the same model and it's called Makavalu. And again, talking about allyship, Daniel is on board as an executive producer. We have TAF that generously are giving us a wonderful sponsorship and donation and whatnot. So we're just pounding the pavement of getting that feature film made with our just amazing Kanaka filmmakers working together to make this thing possible.
Yeah.
And to me, this is the most beautiful kind of allyship, right? Is like an investment in the community because you're from that community, but also making space for voices and, for the storytellers to come through and tell their stories in the most authentic ways. So I love these guys.
Hey, I heard that, like, I think that theme has come up a lot, right? Investment. And for me, like, as you said, you put your money where your mouth is, right? You're investing money. And I also think it's about, again, investing in relationships and connections with the communities that you purport to serve, right? And so I think I have a question around, just what are there, how can we improve that, right? How can people improve? And I think one thing for me often is, like, I always like to gauge, like, how many of the community are actually part of your organizations, especially in leadership roles.
So the festival HIFF is 43 or 44 years old. For the first 20 years, the majority of the festival's history, the top level positions, the executives were white, right? So, I was the first API programmer on board full time, and that's our artistic director. But we have, again, there's definitely a deficit of having Kanaka representation on staff, and honestly, it's like my internal timeline is I've been at HIFF for too long. But it's just to be frank. But I think it's and I think there needs to be a refresh. Makavalu is something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm looking really for the next generation of programming staff to take over, and just to be Kanaka especially, and so that's one of our internal goals right now to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome, because for me it's like I hope those mandates are always there, right? Like, if going back to solidarity, like the way that we show that is, again, that investment, and it's not just in bringing people into these programs, but it's like how are we having them involved at every level, and it goes back to the decision making and having people who understand the communities best to be able to serve them the best, and we all work in that collaboration. So yeah, so thank you for that. And
and then I just want to talk about the last panel that was here. I was so inspired by it, and talking about allyship and just betting on filmmakers and whatnot. I just want to recognize Nina Yang Mangiovi, who was just here, but she's working with Alika Tengan on his feature film, and so it's really exciting to see just a lot of people probably like Daniel is very passionate about that as well. So it's really that investment of cultural investment in there. So. We're a nonprofit organization, so we just great if there's any donations, they're tax write-offs. So just be, but I'm shameless, man.
Listen, do your thing, talk your shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so so that's if you need a shell company, no, just kidding. But yes, but that's just one of our missions is to really kind of really have more Kanaka representation on, especially ideally in the executive staff as well.
Yeah, sweet. Speaking of Nina, Nina was part of a great film. Where is she? She ran off? Okay. Speaking of Nina, she was behind a great film last year, Fancy Dance. And hey, Matilda, what's up? And as we know, it was like a darling with reviews. Critics loved it. I really loved it, but it hasn't been picked up for distribution yet, right? And so I kind of want to switch gears a bit and talk a little bit about Indigenous stories being seen beyond Sundance, right? And Ianeta, in your roles, you've seen a lot of success stories at PIC, at Sundance, and you've also seen a lot of the setbacks, even after people have been they've had their work promoted at such a prestigious and renowned festival like Sundance, right? Can you speak a little bit about that, and maybe is there do you see solidarity playing a part in making sure those are being seen, or is it just way beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Gold House, and the way they've gotten the community to rally behind. I don't know, my voice is so low right now. It's like
it's your boss voice, yeah.
I know. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's amazing, to see how much a community can, like I said, rally behind a film, and how much that can really push it over the edge to be seen and create noise. You know, again, the panel before this amazing, and they're talking about the landscape of film right now, and like how a lot of it is, you know, no budget for marketing. You have to, everything is social media. You know, put out your own. So you know, just by doing that and creating investment, you know, from the communities that you're serving and the communities you actually made the films for. To me, I think that's brilliant. And you know, I asked Nina behind in the green room. I was like, so you mentioned, hey, wait, you're gonna hear about this film. I was like, when is that? When are we gonna hear about that? And she's like, I can't tell you, but you know, that's exciting. And you know, thinking about the noise that was created for Fancy Dance, because like you said, like they checked all the boxes. Everything was there. It was a great film. You know, audiences loved it. Sundance, you know, Rotten Tomatoes, all the things. But again, there's that that missing piece between buyers taking a risk and you know, letting it be seen by general audiences. But yeah.
Sweet.
No, I was gonna say, like, I mean, everything's a balance too, right? It's like, you know, again, the producing panel, it's getting people in those key spots. It's taking advantage of those opportunities, like Nina was talking about. You know, going out, doing the producers programs, doing the labs, signing up for all these things. You know, it's also, you have to have something good. If it sucks, it sucks. I'm sorry. I don't. If you're Indigenous or Pacific Islander, if it sucks, it sucks. I'm sorry. And you know, it's like my fellows over here. You know, our Indigenous fellows. It's like you got to just keep going. You got to keep making things. Like, you know, that's one thing I admired about Ohina is he definitely puts his money where his mouth is, because it's like they make things. They make things, you know, like having a script, it's nice, but you know, sitting in your email box, you know, your inbox is, you know, not going to do anything. But getting people behind a camera, you know, funding cameras for people, you know, just making, doing, creating, learning along the way, and keep on
Sucking
pushing.
along the way.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Pardon?
Don't sign that.
Oh my God.
And then also, you know, like seeing Pasifika faces on television, like, you know, Luciane is huge. Seeing faces like yours on MTV, you know,
That
huge.
was a long time ago.
So, yeah.
Doing all these like dark secrets from our past.
I know, far
Come on,
out.
VJ.
He was an MTV VJ
Anyway,
in
back to
Australia.
Luciane. Speaking of Luciane on TV, you know, and we were talking about, you know, kind of mainstream success, right? Which we know is like code for white success, right? Luciane, you're experiencing like a big come up with The Night Agent. You got an Apple TV show coming up, and Chief of War. Like you're really blowing up, and I love that you're still so committed to Pasifika storytelling specifically, right? And putting on other Pasifika people as far as creatives go. Is there something to be said about solidarity within our communities when we are presented with mainstream success?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make the short film before I booked both of those jobs. And what I found from making that short, the coolest experience was auditioning the two other Tongan actors. And I was reading with them, and I almost forgot to read my lines because I was so shocked that these lines I've been staring at for years were being said out loud. And that was the same kick I get from doing a scene really well. And I was like, what is this? Is this love, but not acting? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go the other way. But it just brought tears to my eyes knowing that I could give an opportunity to another Tongan actor, which even less than Hawaiian actors, like we're like little to none. Like I think back home it's Maori and Samoan that dominate the Indigenous space. And you know, there's just me, Vera, and a couple of others sitting in a garage, like, what do we do? How do we do this? So yeah, it was just a huge thing for me, and I just want to continue to be a part of, you know, the trailblazers in our own community. And being in that conversation, there was a TV show back home called The Panthers that we were both involved in, based on the Polynesian Panthers, which was a movement inspired by the Black Panther movement. And I couldn't audition for a role, and I was like, can I work behind the scenes? So I started off as a script editor, which I'm not qualified for, but I learned really quick. And then I ended up being music supervisor, then associate producer. I just kind of climbed through that, and that premiered at TIFF. And it's just putting yourself in, and like other actors look at me and go, why the hell are you like crew all of a sudden. Like it's like you can't switch lanes. But for me, it's all learning. I want to know all aspects. I want to sit in the editing room with Vera. I want to be a part of those conversations when networks are coming back. And I guess for me, to go back to your question with the mainstream thing, I had no idea that The Night Agent was going to be as popular as it was. I was kind of like, what do I do next? But I'm going to take that and use it to my advantage. If that means I can get into rooms with powerful players and make the things I want to make. Look at Margot Robbie. She's done a lane switch with Lucky Chap Entertainment, and she's still struggling considering she had the highest grossing film, but she's using that to amplify female voices, and I want to do that for Pasifika in whatever way that I can. But I'm still very early, so don't tell my secret. But yeah, I want to continue doing that.
Yeah, sweet. So I do want to give some time for Q&A. If people have any questions in the audience. No one wants to.
While we're waiting, I also wanted to give a shout out to our lovely ASL interpreters here.
Oh, wow.
They've been working hard, and I just really, really wanted to see how you sign humu humu nuku nuku apua. Spelled it. Oh, yes. Wow. Thank you. All right, question.
Any questions? We got one over here.
I have a question for Luciane.
Hi.
Hi. First off, tease up, girl.
Oh, here we go.
I've been writing for a long time, but I just got into acting. So my question is, what do you enjoy doing more, acting or writing your own stories?
I think I have more of a grasp on acting because I've only written the short film. But I will say they both help inform the other. I think I'm a better actor because I've learned how to write and learn story structure and vice versa. When I write, I see it how I know story arcs, and I wouldn't do like both again. That was too much for my brain. That I was like, did we get everything? We've been, do we hit all the beats? But yeah, I think the more lanes that you can be in is only going to make you better in whatever that is. And yeah, keep going. T-game.
Right. Yep, we got another one over here.
Hi. I appreciate that this is happening so much. Thank you. I'm an actor, and I'm constantly conflicted with when I'm sent something that I'm physically correct for, but I can't actually fully represent the community because I'm just not from that community. I'm just wondering what your opinion is on that. If it's more respectful to just
Can you be more specific? Like what when you say?
So say I'm half Japanese and I speak Japanese, but I get sent roles for every Asian ethnicity, sometimes Spanish, because my face can read different ways, but I never feel quite right putting myself in that position, but everyone else does. I just always feel really conflicted about it, so I'm just curious to hear your opinions.
Yeah, I've been told multiple times that I don't look Polynesian enough by casting directors to my face. And I was like, what? Then do I look white enough? So that's why I wrote the short film, because I was like, if no one else is going to write it specifically as a half-caste Tongan, I'm going to make it for myself. Did I think I would make it? No. And it explores all of those nuances of that, how do I navigate this? I'm in this world, I'm in that world. But I totally understand. And honestly, girl, just take the white roles. Take it off them.
Well, I guess it's not even just white, but other minority communities that feel right replacing.
But I would be interested. I had, looking at you, I had no idea that you could speak Japanese, and how cool, there's a story in there, and I think you should explore something, even as a fun exercise, because there's something interesting in that. And yeah, keep going, honestly. Yeah, I hope that answers.
I can give you my personal opinion if you like. I would not go. I mean, I think I allow more grace if it's within the same ethnic group, right? Well, within the same if it's Asian or if it's let me just stick to Pacific Islander. I offer more grace for other Pacific Islanders playing different Pacific Islanders, right? Especially if it's a less represented group that gets an opportunity to come forward, right? I don't offer as much grace if it's like a Samoan taking all these roles of other groups when Samoans are the face of the roles that we have out there, right? So I think it really just depends. But I also, while I'm being filmed, I'm like, I also don't want to go on record saying that you should go out and go for these. But yeah, it is complex, right? Because there is such a there aren't many roles out there for us to begin with. So it's like, where do you stand? So I think overall I'm a bit of a hippie, and I really do believe like if you say no to certain things, like the right things will come around, and you just have to trust that. And like what Luciane did, like sometimes you really have to make your own shit because nobody else is gonna give you that opportunity, right? So that's, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the best way I can answer it.
I got thoughts on it as a director. So I often get offered scripts which aren't written by Hawaiians, but they're looking for a Hawaiian director. And I think as an artist, you have to consider whether or not this project will be made without you, or would it be beneficial for them to have you as part of this project? So personally, do you think by your involvement, you can actually help this project, which may or may not, sometimes these projects are gonna get made nonetheless. And if I don't contribute myself and my voice to the representation of Hawaiians, then it's gonna be done without me, right? So at the end of the day, I know a lot of the actors, it's like, you have to do what you gotta do. Like, you're an actor, that's your craft. And although we strive, in my casting, there's a character who's, Hawaiian. I try to cast a Hawaiian, but if the character, filmmaking's like a business, right? So sometimes the Hawaiian actor doesn't move the needle enough in the present tense. Like, at this moment in time, we plug in a Kanaka maoli actor, it doesn't make the film get financed, right? So as a director, am I gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stick to Hawaiian actor, or else let's just not do this film, right? So if you value what you do, sometimes, all of us have to, weigh, make sacrifices. I know all actors do. Actors play roles all the time that they don't necessarily feel comfortable playing. And sometimes, it's necessary to move the needle for the rest of the community, right?
I also just want to add, like, if you do take a role that's of a different ethnicity, right? We can't get mad when someone else plays out in the cities, because it's like a lot of the time we're like, we're not a monolith, but then we're playing each other. It's like, well, shit, there's a reason why everyone confuses us for all these other groups, right?
Oh my God,
So, so that's just something to consider, right? Go ahead.
And I'll just say, it really resonates what you said, Chris. We had Dana, who's also on the board of Peak. She was one of our creative advisors for Native Lab this year, and she shared the story. She was working on the Thai cave rescue film that's on Netflix, and same thing, right? Her thought was, am I harming or am I helping? And she knew no one else would do a better job than she would to respect the community and to get things done right. So, I think it's very nuanced. I mean, they wanted me to play Aquaman, but I told them no.
Oh my God,
I don't
get your life. Well done.
I want to see that movie.
I don't have Mer ancestry, so.
Oh my God. It's Atlantean over here.
Good one.
Sweet. We got time for one more question, if anyone has one. Okay, I'm gonna do two. Well, you know what? Let's try to get through them. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. I'm Paul.
This is for Christopher. So talking about Waikiki and your journey to distribution, I feel like a lot of upcoming filmmakers would really would want to learn more about, especially since I know you took a while to get to distribution. I would love to hear more about that journey, and especially since being able to sell our movies is like a big factor. And I guess I would love to learn more of like balancing, I need to sell this, and this is the craft. This is an art form.
That's a really long discussion, but honestly, the answer is probably as long as you have to wait to actually get distribution. So it's like, you just gotta keep reminding the distributors why this is valuable, right? So, I mean, a lot of people thought I should have just stopped looking for distribution probably like 3 years ago when it came out. It took me 3 years after its premiere to do its festival route to actually convince somebody that was worth gambling on. And as distributors, that's what they're doing. They're gambling. They're like, okay, I think I can make my money and my investment back. And as a filmmaker, you're like, I think I can make my investors' money back with these deals. We got a lot of shitty deals, honestly. I mean, everyone will get a deal. And some people just sign that shit because they're tired of fighting. And for me, I was just like, yo, I didn't make this thing to make money. I made this thing to make sure people saw it. And at the same time, I respect my investors, with their contribution and their support. So it's a balancing act. And it just takes time. Definitely learn how movies get made and how movies get financed, and learn how movies make money, right? So there's all these different rights that you can sell that are attached to any particular property or film, right? There's foreign rights, it's like institutional rights. There's TVOD, SVOD, AVOD, theatrical. So all these things, foreign territories, all these things, if you can cobble together enough financing from all these different places, your investors can eventually, hopefully over time, don't sign a 17-year contract, try and keep it as short as possible. And, if you can get, it's not happening as much anymore, but so people aren't giving minimum guarantees, but if you can get one, that might be the only money you see. So take it if you can get it, but don't stop, because sometimes it takes the world to change for them to recognize the value of what you do. And I think over the course of the pandemic, people's experience of Hawaii and idea of Hawaii changed, and I think it made the film more valuable, and I think it's only become more valuable over time. It's available on streaming, so Apple TV.
All right.
Done.
Amazon Prime.
Sorry. So we're gonna be around for a minute if you want to ask your questions. So whoever, but I gotta cut it off. But
thank you.
Just lastly, what are your upcoming projects or something that you want to promote right now? Starting with Ianeta.
I sat over here because I thought it was going to be last, but that backfired. So we have, I don't know, what do we have? What do we have? Katie, what do we have, trying to get my secrets. Yeah, we have our native lab coming up where the applications are at the tail end. So we'll have an announcement. We have an intensive in an undisclosed location. It's gonna be fun. We also have, I'm blanking. Native. We're gonna announce our Merita Mita Fellow and our new Grayton Fellowship tomorrow, which is amazing. Our Merita Mita Fellowship is, one that I love. It's open internationally to women that identify as women. Directors that identify as women, and it's in honor of Merita Mita, who is one of the first Indigenous women to solely direct a feature film, who was also a friend of the program and a creative advisor for a long time. And so that's always the most exciting part of festival for me. And then just continuing our work with the Institute and shepherding our Indigenous fellows and helping them get their stuff made. And
Aquaman 4.
We just skipped 3. We're just gonna skip 3 altogether. All right.
I'll be lobbying for that.
All right, Gerard, what's up?
A lot. First of all, Chaperone, happening in an hour and a half. Team Chaperone in the house, slam dance down there. I'm an EP on it. Really proud of it. Zoe did all the work. I'm just here. Yeah. So there's that. I mentioned Kokini. That's Paula's story, which I was in the process of finishing that loop, which is she was at the showcase. 2 years later, we got PIC funding. Nichols jumped in, and we have a finished film that's going to a very big Indigenous film festival in 2 months with another Ohina film. I haven't announced that. It's happening.
You can guess which one. 2 months.
In the southern area. Hopefully
the southern area. My God.
Sexy.
I'm currently shooting season 2 of The Night Agent at the moment. It's gonna be fun. I'm really nervous. I need to learn my lines. And I've got another show, Chief of War, coming out on Apple TV Plus. When that comes out, I don't know.
Are you playing Hawaiian?
I am.
Oh shit.
Not just
Oh, shit.
That's
any
another panel.
Hawaiian.
That's for the
shit.
next panel, all right? Gotta bring us back.
I approve. I approve.
I learned Olelo, it's fine.
Edison, what do you want to?
So, we're in our 44th year at the Hawaii International Film Festival. We have, we're starting a youth film fest in April, and really investing in, the future filmmakers of Hawaii. We're really kind of we want to make inroads we have a Pasifika showcase, but we want to make inroads locally with the Micronesian, Melanesian communities and whatnot,
Awesome,
and really bringing them to the festival. And it's it's just really reaching out to them and making them making kids comfortable to watch films and watch films and learn about films and filmmaking. And so that's why we started the youth film festival called OPO. It's in April. We have and then the big show, the 44th annual HIFF is in October.
Hey.
So yeah, and I just want to make makavalu. So
Yeah.
So for more information, go to hif.org/makavalu or just go to hif.org. Thank you.
So I'm a filmmaker, so I got, I'm happy to say I got projects that people want me to write and direct. There's one I'm casting currently, and there's a huge project that I'm so excited for. I can't name what it is, but it's on known IP. It's a major motion picture, and I'm so grateful to be working with Nina Bon Jovi. So I'm so excited for that project. We're gonna kill that.
Legend over here.
All right. Can everybody give it up for our panelists, please?